meeting, everyone. Especially our guests, Councillor Egerton from Mid Sussex District Council, Tony and Alan from Southern Sheeting, and I'd also like to say a big welcome to Sarah Ramoni, our new Deputy Town Clerk, for your first full council meeting. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public question time. Do we have any members of the public that want to say anything? Okay, thank you. Item number 1 is apologies for absence. We have received apologies from Councillor Reeves for work commitment, Councillor Belsey and Councillor Scott. I propose that we accept those apologies. Can I have a second?
I'll second those.
Have show of hands to accept those.
That's Karen.
Item number 2 is to confirm the minutes of the Town Council meeting held on the 3rd of July. I'd like to propose those. Do I have a second for that, please?
I'll second those.
Any questions on those minutes at all? In that case, can I have a show of hands to adopt those, please?
That's Karen.
Yes. Whilst I'm signing this, has everyone signed their the attendance folder going around? Sign. Item number 3 is to receive any declarations of personal or pecuniary interest. Item number 4 are my announcements. Firstly, I'd like to refer back to the question that was asked at last full council about Blacklands Farm. It is, as of current information, it has not yet been sold and will continue to operate till the end of the year. We understand that there are 2 bids in to purchase the site and hope that it will remain an activity centre for young people, but apart from that, no more details are known. I'll quickly talk about a couple of the very busy time I've had since the last meeting. You know, August was a little bit quieter. Some of the highlights, obviously, we've had our East Court Live events. So thank you to everyone that came out and helped. I think some special mentions here to Steve diligently being there from morning to evening on them. Thank you very much. And it was incredible. There was they were so busy. So busy, and we raised an awful lot of money for the charity from each one. Well over £1,000 was taken from each one, so I'm really proud of those. So thank you everyone that helped in every capacity. And Town Council staff were always just amazing. We've had some special ones that I'm just going to highlight in here. We had NHS 75, which was a really lovely event to be part of at the hospital and at the Welcome Cafe at Community Church. But at the hospital, it was a great day of events and community spirit, and it was cake, unfortunately. But that was really nice to be part of. Had a really fun one where we went to Schwarz in Austria for Sport in Europe with one of our twin towns and some of Schwarz's twin towns, who were looked after amazingly. Our young people that we took from Sackville, Sixth Form, did the town so proud. They played a lot of football in very hot conditions. I think the main takeaway was we beat Germans. The rest of it maybe we'll gloss over, but what was great was some true friendship were made by those teenagers with teenagers across Europe. And actually, I don't know about the Germans, but with the Mindelheim kids, they were out almost every night together in the town, and some really strong bonds of fellowship were made. It was fine until EasyJet cancelled our flight with an hour's notice, and we were all stuck there and in Germany at this point, and had to make a lot of arrangements, a lot of panic. And Julie Fleming from Sackville, I think, deserves a very strong message. Thank you, because she held it together with lots of wine from my wife, and we managed to all get home eventually. I mean, I could go on about so many of these, but a lot of them I'm going to sort of put into one collection, because one of the privileges of the Office of Mayor is to see behind the curtains of the community that we live in, and to see some of the charity groups, to go to their AGMs, to visit what they do, to see how they work, and to see parts of the community that you never normally get to see. And actually, in some cases, you hope never to have to see. But the work that people in our community, the volunteers and staff that do in our community, is just inspiring. And every event I go to, it just grows. And my love for the town and the people that live in it and make it what it is grows. So I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to continue being there, because it's just the best job in the world. It's exhausting and making my wife very stressed about the barn dance, but it's incredible. So on that note, here's a final push. The last 5 tickets are still available for the barn dance. 35 quid a head, includes a barbecue, all money raised to QVH. It's going to be brilliant fun. Top of cooler coming and everything. But if you are interested, please come and see me or email in to Kirsty. So thank you again, and I look forward to updating you on my next one. Item number 5 is to receive such communications as the leader of the council they wish to lay before us. So Helen, over to you.
I think this is an official one.
Thank you, Town Mayor. There actually, I have no official communications today before the council today. Everything are in the minutes from the meetings that we've had, so no new communications this evening. Thank you.
Item number 6 is to dispose of any business outstanding from the last meeting. There is none. Item number 7 is principal council update. Councillor Robert Eggleston, leader of Mid Sussex District Council. Thank you. I'd like you to stand up and get us.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. My apologies for being a bit late, but I have to confess that I ate something which didn't agree with you. So
Thank you for being here.
You may know why. How long do you want? How long have I got? I'll try and be brief, and I'd rather listen and take questions than just for you to listen to my boring voice all the time. But just a brief update on some of the things that we're doing. Of course, we have some district councillors in the room, so this is not, a lot of this won't be new to them. We continued the work on acquiring temporary accommodation. So, like all councils with responsibility for housing, particularly housing the homeless, we have several strategies that we use to accommodate people who are unintentionally homeless. And the 3 strategies really are: we use our housing options team to try and keep them where they are for as long as we can. Then, of course, we find temporary accommodation, and that's a mix of, sadly, bed and breakfast accommodation, which I think is appalling, or temporary accommodation. You look at other authorities, for example, like Hastings, and they have a real financial headache because they've got 7 people who are homeless in bed and breakfast accommodation. So, previous administration and credits to them, developed a policy of increasing our temporary housing stock, and we, Cabinet agreed to acquire 12 more properties, so to increase our stock from 27 to 39 units, and we'll acquire them over the period of time, funding that from reserves, but also a grant from the government of about £1.2 million, so just over £4 million that we're spending on temporary accommodation. It has 2 benefits, well, 3 benefits really. One, it's a much more dignified way of housing homeless people in temporary accommodation without any question. All of our bed and breakfast accommodation is out of district, so you're disrupting people from their family and friend connections, and it's just a ghastly way to live. So, you know, the aspiration is, I'm sure, hopefully, everybody would join me in this aspiration, is to eliminate bed and breakfast as a means of temporary accommodation. So we're in the process of doing that. The other benefit, of course, is put someone in bed and breakfast accommodation is to drain on our revenue, because it's nightly paid or daily paid. If it's temporary accommodation, then the housing benefit goes to pay the rent. So it's good for our revenue position. And thirdly, of course, you know, we have an asset which we appreciate in value, and if we get to that happy day when everybody is housed securely permanently somewhere, then you've got an asset that you can liquidate. So it's very good for homeless people, very good for us financially as well. So there's that. As many of you will know, if you're district council or if you attended the district and parish meeting, we're in the middle of the update to the district plan. District planning is an horrendous experience, and I've inherited it in my portfolio when I became leader, and I wouldn't wish this burden on anyone, to be honest. It is not a particularly pleasant exercise because it's so controversial, and so much of it is set by central government in terms of the regulations you have to follow in order to deliver a district plan. And wherever I go in the district, or to whom I talk in the district, people don't want housing on their patch. And I kind of get that, but the reality is that this is a plan that we produce at district level, not at parish level. And the alternative is that you don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, whilst district plan making is difficult, not having a plan is far, far worse, because you get speculative development and you don't generally get the infrastructure that goes with it. And one of the exercises that the new administration has done is to sit down with towns and parish councils and look at really specifically what is the type of infrastructure you need in those areas where you're taking development. And of course, there are parts of the district that are taking more than other areas, but East Grinstead is going to get a share, but not as big as places like Crabbit Park up on the far side of Crawley down, or down in the south in Sayers Common, for example. So we've done all that work now with the towns and parishes. We've reviewed the plan policies, and the journey that we're on is to take the draft of the district plan to our scrutiny committee in November. Hopefully the scrutiny committee will recommend it to council. Council will consider it in December, and then it'll go out to Regulation 19 consultation in January. Before Regulation 19 consultation, there'll be a workshop before scrutiny, there'll be a workshop with all district councillors, and before Regulation 19, there'll be an all parish workshop, so that we can take people through where we are. And all being well, we have a plan in place in late 2024, which will give us a good basis in which to defend speculative development. So there's that. I'm not going to talk about some of the stuff that's happening in the south of the district, because I'm sure you're not too concerned about that, so I'll try and focus on the bigger picture. Third thing is that we procured the new green spaces maintenance contract, and I'm here on that point to give East Grinstead and everybody else I visit an apology. The transition from existing provider to new provider is proving clunkier than we expected. So it may well be that residents are complaining to you about the state of some of the green spaces, and all I can say is my apologies. We will get through it. The new contract is, the new thinking around ground maintenance is different to the past, where you kind of had a mowing cycle, for example, and you did it regardless of the height of the grass or whatever. This one is more sophisticated in the sense of it will maintain to the standards that are required. So, for example, if you have a bowling green that needs to be cut much more regularly than a field, then the cycle will address the needs of this particular space. But as I say, we're a bit it's a bit clunky, the changeover at the moment, but we'll get through it. And then coming up, and this affects again the district, but thinking of places like Mount Noddy, we've begun to look at the green spaces master plan and rolling out some of the investment that we need in our green spaces to upgrade and improve them. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Just speak up.
Thank you, Tony. One question for Councillor Edmondson, specifically on Mount Noddy and the bowling greens. It's good to hear that the contract will be introduced soon, it's moving forward and the clunky handover. I've been contacted by the trustees of the bowling club at Mount Noddy, and during that process, and early this year, maintenance of the bowling green has been difficult, shall we say, sporadic. And obviously the quality of the bowling green dictates the number of members they have and the viability of the bowling club. So if you could work with your cabinet colleagues and officers to ensure that going forward, that officers and the contractors work with the trustees to ensure it does get the maintenance it needs and the preparation for next season, I'm sure I will be, and I'm sure the trustees will be very pleased about that, because certainly the last couple of months, the level of service has been, let's describe it as suboptimal. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And again, I can only but apologise that it's, it hasn't, the last couple of months hasn't been good, and I accept that. Can you just to remind me, can you just drop me an email?
Yes.
And then I'll take it up with the officers, and we'll make sure that we'll pick that up.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Councillor Edmondson, first for coming this evening, for giving that update. Similar point, you'll be aware, and you will know that I've mentioned this at full district council a few times. East Grinstead has a very active sports council, which meet on a quarterly basis. The next meeting is on the 12th of October in a couple of weeks' time. I would say that Councillor Hobbs, who's the cabinet member for this portfolio, reacted very quickly and did meet the chair of that sports council, who relayed quite a lot of the concerns, not just about the bowling club, but quite a few of our sports clubs with some concern. So there is dialogue. Officers are well aware, district council officers are well aware, but the unresolved situation at the moment is timescales of the resolution of those issues. So I'll just kind of leave it with that.
Yeah, so I felt that this might come up. So wherever I go, and I wish I could give you a day when it's all going to be smoothed over, but rest assured that officers are aware of your concerns. They're also aware of the cabinet's concerns as well, because the last thing we wanted, or any of us wanted, was the changeover to be as clunky as it has been. So, yeah, we're on it.
Councillor Darcy.
Thank you, Councillor Edmondson. Thank you again for coming. I also have several residents who have not grass cutting, so I think it's probably in everybody's inbox that people are dissatisfied. But that's not what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about the council's policy on the Ukraine families that are here. I have several acquaintances, and I know other people have spoken to me, that they took them on the understanding it was for a period of 6 months, and some of them are somewhat concerned that there doesn't seem any cut-off point, or really asking me what is happening on the longer term. Do we have a policy in place how these people are going to be either rehoused, reschooled? I just wondered, the cost of it involved in obviously might be considerable to the council. I just wondered if we have a policy in place regarding this.
So if they're here on the settled scheme, so they've got a right to remain, and then they become, and they're in the district, and they become homeless, then as you know, we have we're blind to who the person is. If they're in our district and they're unintentionally homeless, then we have a statutory duty to find them accommodation. Some Ukrainian families and residents find their own, because they're moving into jobs and they're going to into private rented accommodation without our support. But if they find themselves homeless, then we have a duty to support them, and we'll find that, you know, with the stock that we're taking on, that some of that will inevitably go to support some Ukrainians and some Afghans who are here under a government resettlement scheme as well. And you know, there will be these peaks and troughs in the usage of temporary accommodation. It wasn't something that any of us kind of planned for and expected, but you know, we all know what our duty is, and we'll step up to the plate and deal with that. In terms of the Ukrainians who are in hosted accommodation, as you know, we've got some funding that gives some soft support around supporting Ukrainian refugees in terms of signposting them to employment, training, etc., etc. And you're right, hosted families, we're not expecting to host indefinitely, and it's one of those schemes actually where there's the great intention behind it, and I applaud everyone who's done it. But one of those schemes that's set up with no, what happens at the end. You didn't plan for what happens when I think everybody naively assumed that the war would be over and everyone would go back to Ukraine. And that's clearly not going to happen for years, I'm afraid. Local government will end up picking up the responsibility, because central government won't. But if you want again, I'm not kind of equipped for it, but if you want more information, just drop me an email and I'll get the specific answers you need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? That's all right.
Yes, thank you, Tom. On behalf of the Town Council, Councillor Everson, thank you very much for coming in this evening to talk to us and give us that great update. And thank you for answering all the questions as well. Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure. Just so you know, and I don't know how many you'll be able to come, but I've offered to come and meet in a less formal capacity. This is recorded, isn't it? In a less formal capacity.
Thank you.
Item number 8, to receive and consider the minutes of committees. Councillor Obi.
Thank you, Tim. I would like to propose the minutes for the following planning meetings. Please, the planning meeting on the 6th of July, pages 37 to 43, minutes 78 to 83. The 24th of July, page numbers 48 to 53, minutes 94 to 100. 14th of August, page numbers 51 to 61, and minutes 101 to 107. And the 4th of September, page numbers 62 to 68, minutes 108 to 114. Oh, we've been quite busy. And 25 September. Actually, partly to they're TBA at the moment. Can I have a second for that, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All those in favour of adopting those minutes, please? I'll stay standing. I'd also like to propose the minutes for the Environmental and Sustainable Travel Committee meeting on the 19th of July, page numbers 44 and 47, 247, minutes 84 to 93, and also the 13th of September, pages 74 to 75, and minute numbers 129 to 130. May I have a second, please?
I'd like to second that.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you.
Look at Craig then.
Also for you.
Thank you, Councillor Obi. You have been a busy boy, I know. Would normally be Councillor John Belsey for A&T.
So I'd like to propose the minutes of the Amenities and Tourism meeting that was held on the 14th of September 2023, pages 76 to 80, and minute number 131 to 144. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Show
All
of
in
hands
favour?
to adopt this. Thank you. And, finally, councillor Barron.
Public services.
He's ignored you on my list, councillor.
No offence taken.
Definitely take that. Councillor
Thank you, Town Mayor. Yes, the Public Services Committee was held on the 7th of September. I'd like to propose the minutes from pages 69 to 73 and minute numbers 115 to 128 respectively. Can I have a second for those, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'm happy to take questions, because I think there might be one or two, but the meeting principally covered four main areas. One is the usual police report from Inspector Derrick, which is always, although he attended by Zoom, he always attends this meeting. I'm very pleased to report also that West Sussex County Council Highways position over the summer period, particularly in the June, July, August period, significantly improved, which was very, very gratefully received, and hopefully that progress continues. We also touched upon Gatwick, which I know the leader of the district council is also in your portfolio, but also with the modality GP practices this committee. And prior to any questions, I'd like to just read out really a statement from myself, Town Clerk, but also from the Public Services Committee to hopefully reassure you. The Public Services Committee, having invited modality to our meeting in June, have been monitoring the situation and have been included into the updates from modality as they have released them to the public for their improvement of service. We were aware that the CQC were carrying out an inspection and were disappointed to see the results released last week, which showed that the service had not significantly improved and indeed was rated as inadequate in several areas. The one saving grace being the good rating for care. Modality surgeries in East Grinstead have a long journey ahead of them, and Burgess Hill. It is imperative that they improve and are helped to do so by the Sussex ICS, an Integrated Care Board, and other agencies within whose gift this will fall. The service will continue to be monitored closely by the Public Services Committee. Following a meeting last week between myself, the Vice Chair and the Clerk, we will continue to take a keen interest and to encourage those who can assist to help our modality surgeries to improve. We are supportive of the surgeries and their staff, many of whom are local residents. This is a journey that we are all in together for the betterment of the service to our residents. So I'm happy to take questions, Tamara.
Any questions for councillor Whitaker?
If you want to read the statement, the rest of it, great.
Okay, there have been, I would say that Councillor de Bell did raise an issue in advance, so I thank you for that, as with the Town Mayor. And it relates to antisocial behaviour generally in the centre of the town, and principally in the area of Wetherspoons and the public toilets in King Street. I think committee will know, or the council will know, that this is a continuing concern with a number of issues involved, and the Town Clerk was alerted, has contacted Inspector Derrick. The police have provided a response that they are working with all the different agencies, including the District Council and British Transport Police, to address or try and address these issues. They were aware and were acting accordingly, liaising with the clerk and responding to local issues. So something that, thank you for flagging it, Councillor de Bell, and we'll continue to monitor it very closely through the Town Clerk and the official Public Services Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have a show of hands to adopt those minutes. Thank you. Finally, Leader, would you like to?
Thank you, Town Mayor. Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr Chambers and the officers for their hard work in preparing documents for the meeting, and also for the robust conversations that people had about challenging what was in those documents and to making sure there was full understanding. So it was a good committee meeting. So I would like to propose the Finance and General Purposes minutes for the meeting dated the 21st of September 2023, page numbers 81 to 96, minute numbers 145 to 149. Please may I have a second? Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair. Any questions on the minutes? I'd like to move that we adopt the minutes. All in favour? Is that your job, mine? Oh, sorry. That's force of habit for committee meeting, sorry. I think it's carried, Chair. Sorry, you can say it again, I'm sure you do a better job. What do you say? Okay, that's right.
It's not the Wild West tonight, isn't it? Councillor Whitaker's forgotten.
I think we forgot here.
Protocol. Okay. Item number 9 is to authorise the sealing of the following documents: the grant of executive right of burial numbers 2294, 2296, 2297, 2298, 2299, 2300, 2301, 2302, 2303, 2304, 2305 and 2306.
No, you said 4.
2304.
229.
So
Instead of 229.
it'll be fine in the minutes, yeah. There's a lot of numbers. Yeah, that's fine. There's a lot of numbers with dyslexic persons to read those. Please can I ask council to approve that the seal be applied? That a second.
I was saying.
Thank you. And I have a vote on those, please. Thank you. Glass of wine after reading that. Right. Item number 10 is a much more interesting topic than the rights of burials. We have Southern Sheeting Sustainability Report, and we're very lucky tonight to have Tony Hobbs and Alan Francis from Southern Sheeting, who have met with the clerk and the former deputy clerk. They have produced a proposal to assist the council with environmental and sustainable programme, and wish to be involved in some of these projects as a community payback in partnership with the council. Attend the meeting in order to make their presentation to the whole council. We'll move forward with the Environmental and Active Travel Committee. Gentlemen, would you like to make your
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, or us the opportunity to present. I have to say, didn't ever expect this. So we engaged with Julie, it must be good 6 months ago, something like that. And just expected to come and have a bit of a chat, and some of these things ballooned, and here we are standing in front of you. So I'm very conscious that you have a busy evening and a full agenda, so I'm just going to crack on with the pen. There's lots of slides, but I'm just going to skip through those. Obviously, they're all available to you afterwards, should you wish to have a deeper delve. So before I sort of get on to the main part, I'll just add a little bit of background to who we are, Southern Sheeting, and put some context to why we're here. So it's a bit awkward because I'm going to nod or do something when we move on to the slides. So
it's a nice picture, isn't it?
So who are we? I'm not going to go through it all, but the Hobbs family been in East Grinstead since the late 1960s, and as a family for 3 generations now. Certainly two working generations, we've had a number of businesses that are all here in the town. We'll move on. It all started. Move on, Julie, to the next one. Okay. My dad, who started Southern Sheeting Supplies back in 1979, I think it was, and I took over in 95. And the next slide is me, very briefly. There we go. I had a lockdown beer. I've since found a razor. So I've been running Southern Sheeting since '97. And still manage the 3 farms we've got around East Grinstead as well. My brother, on the next slide, runs a business, Southeast Fabricators. Sorry, we're really testing you here, are we? Technology. So between us, we employ 75 staff, the majority of which, 60 or so, 65 are all in East Grinstead. The next slide.
I'm just going to try and move you to sort of slideshow, but I'm not sure it's going to work.
Oh, okay. Should we move on that slide?
Left and right to do it.
It's really frightening seeing your brother that. So Southern Sheeting, we are just out on the Turners Hill Road and also down at Saint Hill Green. We've got two depots in East Grinstead and one we've opened in the Midlands near Leicester earlier this year. We've got 8 staff up there, but the rest of them are all here in East Grinstead. £20 million turnover, and we run a very professional business, and our Trustpilot reviews will demonstrate that. And we have been active in the community for many, many years, and there's just a few of the charities that we've been supporting through our volunteering days for certainly the last 5 years, if not longer. So, kind of why we ended up standing in front of you. Well, we have a 5-year growth plan, which the technical term has these 4 pillars that we created in 2019. In 2022, we added a people piece about our growing and valuing our people. But earlier this year, right at the start of this year, just as we turned into the new year, we added a sustainability pillar to our business to help grow our business. And that's why we've ended up here, sustainability. One of those, if you look back, I have two main areas of growth. One is to expand nationally, which is why we have a Midlands depot now. And the other was about our sustainability. Sorry, just go back.
Oh, I
Slide,
have gone
please.
back.
Julie.
Apologies.
And we had a problem. We didn't know how to expand nationally, and I certainly didn't know how to tackle sustainability in my business. So I recruited this chap called Martin Clay, who is on the next slide.
Yeah, next slide.
Lost track of it.
No, that's been there.
So Martin Clay is a consultant operations director with a very good history of working in sustainability. In fact, he lectures part-time at Loughborough University to various cohorts. And Martin now works in the business 2 days a week as a consultant, and he is driving my sustainability agenda. So, where are we now? Our work has already started, and the reason I'm standing here is because we've got these 5 sub-pillars of sustainability, but the reason I'm standing here is our employees and our community pillar. So we decided we need to start outreaching a little bit more into the community. And Alan, who works for me, is our sustainability guru. Can I use that word? And he said, well, surely we should start with East Grinstead Town Council. And hence he made contact with Julie, which was probably 6 months ago, and said, hey, we're a bunch of people on the outskirts of East Grinstead, we've got some resources, what do you want us to do? So you invited us in, didn't you? And we sat down and engaged to see what opportunities might exist for us to help. It very soon became apparent that you had all these great ideas going on, but actually, without being really, didn't seem very coordinated. Didn't feel like it was under some sort of policy. So we said, well, hang on a minute, shall we reel back and see if we can start to write a sustainability policy for you? And that's, on the next slide, please, Julie, is where we started. And as I say, this project ballooned fairly quickly into sort of an area we didn't really expect to get into. But essentially, we said, okay, to create a sustainability policy for the town council, you're going to need a mission statement, you're going to need a sustainability policy, establish some pillars, and then embed it into your business, into your council. Got my commercial hat on. So we started by going out there and just looking at what there is, and of course there's the Mid Sussex Sustainable Economy Strategy, which isn't quite aligned with sustainability, but certainly has a lot of useful text, and we kind of figured that your sustainability policy should be at least aligned to or fall out of the Mid Sussex one. Should we move on? I won't delve into this too quickly, too much. And so we created a sustainability mission statement. It's a proposal. I need to get this really clear, to get this across to you really clearly. This is just us coming to you saying, if we were doing this in our business, this is what we would create. It's for you to decide whether this is fit for purpose within council. So that is what we created. It's for you to go away and have a think about, see if it fits with the town council, if it fits with what you're trying to achieve. Throw it in the bin, adopt it, adapt it, whatever you like. That's our sort of first stab of it. And we'll move on to the next one, please, Julie. So having got your mission statement, whatever that might be, you then need to understand what you're going to do to deliver the various activities under sustainability. And we took some of these ideas that we heard from Julie and Harry, your predecessor, and we kind of felt we reverse engineered it. We thought, okay, you've got the cafe going on, you've got something doing at Turners Hill Park, a Turners Hill Recreation Ground, and one or two other things. We kind of started pigeonholing these into different columns of work, and we figured that they fell into those 5 fairly naturally fitting areas: the natural environment, community well-being, investing in the community, sustainable energy, which is what everyone immediately jumps to when you think about sustainability, and then recycling and circularity. And that will become a bit clearer on the next couple of slides, I hope. So that's just fleshing out those 5 pillars. And this, I guess, is the nuts and bolts of it, really, because I'm sure you'll all recognise some of these activities or some of these ideas that are being kicked around for a while, such as the Turners Hill Recreation Ground. I know community cycles is something which you've been thinking about, but we're starting now to build this into a bit of a picture, a bit of a coordinated approach to sustainability. And so I hope you understand how this all kind of fits up and flows up to your overall sustainability policy. So if we move on, please, Julie. I'm not going to go through all these. You can take all these away. These are all essentially building out some of the ideas that you've got, putting them into a policy, and we added in a few extra ideas, which hopefully will resonate. I'm not going to do all those. And I suppose really, having adopted some sort of policy, whether it's S1 or something you choose to adapt, you then need a bit of an action plan. What are you actually going to do? And so we just created a fully pointed plan of attack, I suppose, to deliver your sustainability. What's the next one? Is that it? So I guess there's a question, how can solid sheeting help? Well, this is where we actually started 6 months ago. we came to Julie and said, hey, we're 65 people in East Grinstead, we've got labour, we do volunteering days, we've got equipment, we've got materials we can use, and we perhaps have a bit of finance that we're prepared to put back into the community as well. What can we do for you? And that question, I guess, is still there. It's still an offering. We've got good contacts into land management experts. I know we're talking about the Turners Hill Recreation Ground. Well, that's something, you know, I'm a farming stock, so I've got lots of contacts in land management. What we can offer is not so much finance. Yeah, we offer a bit of finance, but we can offer some expertise, we can offer some resource. Alan here works part-time, 2 days in the business. All he does for my business is all he does is the sustainability. He's again a resource that we used, perhaps sparingly, but can be used by council and project management. We can take on some of these projects and help facilitate them. We're not going to take them over, we're not going to do them, but we can help facilitate them. I guess that's a really, really quick whiz through as to why Southern Sheeting is here. Ultimately, it's about trying to put something back into the community, which we have been doing for the last 5, 6, 7 years through different charities. In fact, just last week, we were at the Turning Tides down West Hill, and we put 5 people, including myself, in there to clear their garden, because they wanted to create a bit of an outdoor space for the residents that are there. There we are. I don't have what else to say, but I'm quite willing to try and take some questions if anything takes your fancy. Otherwise, I think we'll be tying up with Steve, I think it is, at some point. Any questions?
I'll do a quick thank you. Thank you very much for coming, and that was, you whizzed through that, and these slides will be distributed by the town clerk to all of us, so you can actually digest them and take it in properly, because there's a lot of work, a lot of forethought, and a lot of care being put into what Tony has done very quickly for us tonight. So I want to say a very quick thank you for your time there. I've worked with Southern Sheeting and the Hobbs family a lot over the years, and actually I find what he's offered there incredibly humbling. A very quiet man is our Tony, but he does an awful lot with guiding and scouting, and what he's done for the community is incredible. So I know that what he's offering tonight is very much from a very, very good place. So thank you. I would say thank you to his brother Nick as well, but for sure.
He's celebrating his birthday tonight, the last day of his 30s, I think.
Yeah, he wishes. So thank you. Are there any questions?
I beg your pardon.
Are there any questions from the room that you'd like to ask? That's good. Thank you.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. I'm not to go through it. Question is slightly off beam within that, but have you thought about net zero within your business?
Yeah.
In terms of what you can influence directly. As far as I can remember, you haven't got any solar panels on the roofs of your buildings and things like that. Last time I went down there to buy bits and pieces off you.
Yeah.
But obviously you're in a business which has a lot of transportation.
Correct.
And what are you doing about that?
Yeah.
And then of course you're going to have all the emissions that you can't actually influence directly. It's slightly different to the sustainability thing, but it does make you think in terms of the same sort of direction.
Yeah. Alan, do you want to answer that? Because Alan's in the thick of it right now.
We have recently engaged with and are paying for a sustainability partner called Orbitel. They have promised to deliver our carbon footprint by the beginning of December this year. Once we've established that carbon footprint, we will be working on a plan to reduce it. We are working towards solar panels. We are not there yet, but solar panels are definitely on the agenda, and I'm confident they'll be installed on our buildings within the next couple of years for sure, as part of the overall strategy to reduce our carbon footprint. We're also looking at supply chain, we're looking at our upstream and downstream. You've mentioned transport, really difficult area to reduce carbon in. We are using biodiesel. We have now got 3 vehicles with fuel cards that enable them to buy biodiesel. That is it's something we're trialling at the moment. We understand that it doesn't have any effect on the mechanics of the vehicle, but you'll understand our reticence in wanting to find that out for ourselves. Once we know that the biodiesel is viable, we'll be rolling that out across the business. That is a cost to the business. I believe it's something like 12% more expensive biodiesel over diesel based on oil. So yeah, we are definitely working towards reducing our carbon footprint, and you can be confident that over the next 2 or 3 years that will be coming down significantly. We will be publishing it on their website as part of our sustainability goals and targets, and we'll have our own sustainability page on the website, and we'll be open and honest about where we are. If we're failing, we'll be honest, and we'll say why we're failing and what we're doing to correct it. But I hope it won't come to that. And I'm sure as we move forward, we will be reducing our carbon footprint.
Just to reinforce that, it's why we employed Auditel. They're an independent auditing company. I don't want to be accused of greenwashing anywhere. So having employed Auditel, they will be auditing right across the business from the very start of our journey all the way through. But yes, we have our sustainability, I won't go into it now, but our sustainability agenda is we're aiming for net zero by 2030. We actually feel we could be positive by 2030. It depends, there's different tiers, by the way,
Yeah.
but it's certainly on tier 1.
Yeah, it depends how you feel about offsetting, obviously, like the airline industry, you just go out and buy tons of carbon from forests and things and say, well, okay, we're net zero now, but actually you're still emitting tons of carbon into the atmosphere. So inevitably, it's almost impossible to be net zero without some offsetting, but we do have the benefit of some land that we may be able to utilise to help drive that. So it will literally be hands-on offsetting. We may be actually planting the trees ourselves, but we're not there yet. We're still some way away from that.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you very much. I've got to be honest, I'm perhaps a little bit thicker than everybody else in this room, but I really don't understand what it is you do. I mean, you said that you got a huge company, and that your objective is sustainability. And you talked about many things. You said that you touch on this and you touch on that. So what is it you're suggesting? Because a lot of these areas have nothing to do with the council. They're to do with private businesses in the town. Are you suggesting then that you come in, take over the responsibility for sustainability for the council, and you supply something? What I'm still not quite sure what is. You've got a depot at the Thames, and you obviously have people coming in and out and everything. And you've talked about how you plan these things, but a lot of these things have nothing to do with the council. And we can't have somebody just coming in and taking over our responsibility for those things that they do. And we can't actually sponsor somebody to do it for us. So what is this exactly that you're talking about doing for this?
Yes. So what we've done is, just to rewind, we came to Julie to say we've got some resources, time, people, effort, that we were going to volunteer our services to the town council, whether that be litter, it could be as simple as litter picking, it could be, I don't know, that's why we came to the town council to ask for some ideas. And we sat down with Julie and said, well, we want to do some work on St Margaret's Loop, I think it was. There's the cemetery, Queen's Road Cemetery. So we said, well, what can we do to help there? It's actually about supplying labour, maybe some materials. And at that point, talking to Julie and Harry, there was a conversation around, well, we need to get a bit coordinated on our sustainability. So we said, well, we're going through that journey right now, so why don't we have a go at that and propose it to you to save, I guess, time and effort from members putting that together. So what we're proposing is that
could be that you could either adopt it as a whole if you're completely happy with it, or you could throw it away, or you could take it and adapt it to suit your own needs. So what we've given you at this moment in time is time, resource, effort, and some expertise in this area. If you, at some point you're, I would hope, at some point you're going to have a sustainability agenda, we can then come back to where we started. Okay, we're Southern Sheeting, what would you like us to do in the community? It's community outreach, it's volunteering, just like we've done for Turning Tides, like we've done for London Youth up at British Cross, like we've done for Riding for the Disabled down at Horn. We've just invested our people's time into the community.
And what does sheeting stand for?
Sheeting, Southern Sheeting, was our business stand for.
And what is sheeting? What's it all about?
Oh, it's building materials, construction materials. So we sell construction materials, and we sell and distribute construction materials. I wasn't here to sell our business.
Well, that's what I did. I'm sorry. I know that there's other people want to ask questions, so I'll.
John, I think just to summarise it for you, Councillor DeBell.
Well, I think he's pretty much done it for you, thank you.
Okay. Yes, there are two other questions, but I was just going to summarise it very succinctly to make sure that everyone was on the same page and there was no confusion, which I will continue to do. So my understanding, make sure I'm correct, Southern Sheeting Supplies, local business, like community outreach, wants to help with time and labour and materials into community projects that we are doing as a council and help bring some expertise in those areas.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's, you know, sorry, and just to add to that, you know, we're here just to volunteer that. There's, of course, there's absolutely no obligation. You ladies and gentlemen, for taking that up. We are well aware there's lots of charities and other good causes in the town and around the town that are looking for help. So
thank you. Councillor Mockford.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In my capacity as Chairman of East Grinstead in Bloom and Chairman of the tag team, I have worked with community outreach groups, and what a bonus you are to the community. I've had Virgin planting borders. Okay, they were feeling a bit guilty about the way they left somewhere, but it gave them a chance to actually come back and give something back. And I totally get where you're coming from, and I certainly hope that we can work with you, because I can see great things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I don't want to steal the thunder of the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, but I'd like to thank you for coming here tonight. And then what we need to recognise it's a draft, it's a proposal. I certainly need time to go away and digest this. I haven't seen this before. But I think in a way it's a donation of time, saved up time and money to create this for your expertise and your experts. So thank you for that. And we'll go away and look at it, and I'm sure we'll make comments. Obviously your background is in construction materials, building materials. A key issue going forward for us is we have a number of buildings, we need to look at how we make them even more sustainable, even more energy efficient, without putting you on the spot on committee going forward. Is that something at the very least we could consult, you know, through this process potentially, if the council decided that was interesting, if we wanted to pursue, is that something we could get Bill inputs and thoughts on how we can make our buildings, like the roofing, the roof spaces, cavity spaces, etc., more energy efficient?
We can certainly across our desk, if we can add any expertise to that process, we will certainly aim to do so. We're, at the end of the day, we are not an infinite resource of expertise, but certainly across our desk, we'll have a look. Quite welcome to do that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Tony. Tony and Alan, thank you so much for coming in this evening. Very much appreciate your time and effort to come in tonight and present your proposal, which I thought was excellent, and really thank you for your enthusiasm to bring this to the table in front of us tonight. future-proofing the town is really important, and this is a real key element of that. And I look forward to working with you both within the Environment and Sustainable Travel Committee moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, moving nicely on, item number 11 is the Environmental and Active Travel Subcommittee part of the agenda. And it's with great pleasure, I'd like to hand over to the Deputy Town Mayor to introduce this and make some recommendations.
Thank you, Tammy. Finance and General Purposes Committee have recommended that the Environmental and Sustainable Travel Subcommittee be amended to a full committee status due to the importance of the work to be undertaken. There are a few recommendations. The first one is to reconstitute the subcommittee as a full committee to the council. The second recommendation is to adopt the terms of reference as set out in the paper that you all was sent. And the third recommendation is to agree that it will become the first meeting in the current cycle of meetings preceding public services by 1 week, with interim meetings held monthly on the third Thursday of intervening months at 7 p.m. I would like to propose those recommendations. If I could have a second, please. Thanks very much, Councillor Gibbs.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Councillor Odie, can I just seek clarity as to why we believe as a committee that you should be meeting monthly, when the normal cycle for meetings outside of planning is quarterly?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question. The theory behind that is that there's quite a lot to do. And actually having a monthly meeting is going to be really important in terms of making proper progress with any of the projects and plans that we've got that we're going to be putting in place. So having a monthly meeting is going to be, I think, very beneficial, not only for us as a council, but also for our residents and community. Thank you.
I'd like to say a huge thanks to, oh, there's a question. Sorry, I didn't see the question.
Just to ask about dovetailing with the ongoing consultation with West Sussex County Council now on active travel.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Gibson. We are there is an active travel consultation that was emailed by Town Clerk that hopefully everybody's sent their thoughts and answered some of the questions within that survey. But we are also we're in contact, or will be in contact, with the relevant highways officers at West Sussex as well, to tell them about what we're proposing, what we're doing within the town, and to build that relationship up as well. So there's as well as Mid Sussex as well. So we'll be meeting with the officers at Mid Sussex and also West Sussex as well, to hopefully bring to fruition some of the plans that we've got within, as an example, the LCW.
To come back?
Yeah.
Thank you. Just to, I've been ready for more for information, but the first just to make sure everyone's aware that Surrey County Council and West Sussex County Council, county councils in that one, I'm very sorry, are doing a joint study into the A264, A22 corridor that Councillor McDowell and myself are sitting on the steering group, and the first meeting is tomorrow. Given the thrust of active travel within the West Sussex Transport Plan, then clearly active travel is going to be a fundamental part of the plans which are developed for that corridor, and obviously that has to be kept in that. I'd say that the timing for this is somewhat lengthy, reviewing past studies until the end of the year and then looking to come up with some proposals by the end of next year. How that works with the plans for the development of Inboard Farm and 200 houses on Crawley Down Road is anyone's guess. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson.
Thank you. So that's about it. Well, that's, thank you, Gary, for all your hard work on this and bringing this. I think actually this is since I've been a council, one of the most exciting things that's actually happened is the formation of this new committee, and it's strengthening as a full committee now. It sets a lovely tone and direction for the future and some very important decisions that need to be made by this council and ongoing council. So thank you. Can we have a show of hands to adopt those proposals as read? Brilliant, thank you very much. Okay, finally, I'd like to remind you that the next full council meeting is on Monday, the 8th of January 2024. So I'd like to wish you all a happy Christmas. And to invite you all, including our guests and the public, to join me in the Mayor's Parlour for a glass of wine and some nibbles, and to close this meeting at 8:09.